When you mentioned peak week, can you describe that or can you explain that a little bit deeper? Because for him, things were looking good. And then it came down to the last couple weeks when things really had to be humming and in sync. And he said that's when things fell apart. So can you explain a little bit more about peak week and what that is and what that means as far as making
Yes.
and breaking somebody for competition?
This might be the most talked about topic. If you just think of like all the things that you could talk about as far as bodybuilding goes, because if you've done things right, if you're really where you need to be, then peak week doesn't need to be anything other than the last week of your diet before you step on stage. In many cases, it can be that. We've got this interesting phenomenon, and this is, of course, roots back in the origins of bodybuilding. First, we had bodybuilding, and with men's bodybuilding in particular, as much muscle that you can get, the better. The leaner you can get, the better. The drier you can get, the better. So there's some water manipulation that gets involved there. One of the greatest dangers, actually, of competitive bodybuilding over the years has turned out in the untested divisions, especially, is men use, and women too, we use diuretics, which can have just completely catastrophic effects potentially. So that's the kind of the origin. And when the new divisions have come in, for instance, let's take bikini at one end of the spectrum. We're looking for a feminine look, not a soft look, but a fit look, not a extremely muscular, vascular, striated glutes, off the charts muscular look. There's a certain look they're looking for there. And if, in my opinion, many cases, there are some exceptions. Bikini competitors wouldn't need to do anything for a peak week. The idea of bikini divisions actually sort of from the outset, and things tend to creep over time. I've been around long enough to see this. They come up with a new division, and slowly that division, especially in the women's categories, I'm thinking now in the U.S., they tend to move more towards the bodybuilding in terms of the judging and the criteria that they use for judging the women. But if someone's gotten to the place where they should be for bikini, should be a sustainable look for the most part.